Hey everybody, I'm Justin with AmericanTrucks.com. Today we are taking a closer look at and installing Red Rock's OEM style fender flare kit, available for all 2009 to 2018 Ram 1500s. Now the Red Rock OEM style flares will be a great choice for the Ram owners who might be looking to add a subtle factory inspired flare but without breaking the bank. Now this set of 4 flares will feature a durable automotive grade matte black plastic build, along with all of the hardware needed for a very pain-free install for right around that $200 price point. So if you're thinking about adding a set of flares to your Ram at home, you're gonna find a few different options here on the site. And guys, I'll be completely honest, a majority of those options are gonna be very aggressive. And what I mean by that is they're typically gonna offer a bunch of coverage or poke for an aggressive offset. And in most cases, those more aggressive flares do also offer that bolt-on appearance. And while both of those options, I would say, do appeal to a lot of truck owners out there, they're a very popular style, there's no denying that. However, there are gonna be Ram owners out there who might prefer kind of the less is more approach, might just wanna go with the contrast of a black flare, but keep things pretty mild in regards to styling and ultimately additional coverage. Now, if that sounds like you, and if that's the case with your Ram, well, the Red Rock option here, certainly gonna be worth consideration. Now, don't get me wrong, guys, they are still gonna offer some coverage benefits. I would say maybe an extra inch off the fender, but that's pretty much it. Nowhere near the 3+ inches of those more aggressive pocket style flares here on the site. Now, another thing I do enjoy here about these particular options from Red Rock is the fact they are smooth, they're free from any of those fake bolts or rivets, and that's gonna offer or lend itself more to that factory styling that we've talked about. Now, the materials here with the Red Rock options will include the very smooth automotive grade polypropylene or plastic build, which is certainly gonna be equal parts durable and lightweight. Now, they are done in kind of like a satin or matte black finish right out of the box, and that finish does have a UV coating baked in to help prevent that matte black fading on you over the years. Now, if you maybe weren't a big fan of that black color contrast on whatever color Ram you have at home, maybe even wanted to increase the factory styling even further, well, you can always take these things to your local paint shop, have them prepped and sprayed the same color of your truck for a different look, and a look that I would think is a little bit more factory inspired. Now, the Red Rock options do include 4 flares altogether. I know I only have 2 on the table with me here today just due to size constraints, and they do also kick in all of the hardware needed to get everything in place. Now, moving into pricing, guys, you'll be happy to know that the Red Rock options are currently one of the most affordable sets of 4 for the factory style flare fans out there, coming in right around that low $200 price point for all 4, making them super affordable overall. And that's even more so when you start comparing these things to the more aggressive flares we talked about earlier, those pocket style flares. Typically, they're gonna start around $300 to $400 and just go up from there. So again, if you're looking for kind of that less is more approach in both regards to appearance and in regards to budget, these are certainly worth a look. Last but not least, let's get into our installation portion of today's video, and the site's got this one at a strong 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you a couple of hours, I would say, to complete at most from start to finish. But now to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to my guys in the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need a ratchet, an 8mm socket, and a Phillips head screwdriver. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing some fender flares on our Ram, so let's get started. Alrighty guys, so we're going to start off with our front flare. Now there's a few things we need to do first before we can install our flare. Namely, since our truck is a 2014, and if you have a 2011 and up, you will need to remove this plastic trim piece. So these have 8mm screws holding it in. So we'll grab an 8mm socket on our ratchet and pop those out. Now we are missing our top one, but the bottom one should be removed as well as the top. So we'll go ahead and pop that off. And we'll go ahead and set that aside. Next, we can remove the remaining 3 8mm screws that we need to take out. So there's one below the bumper line, one directly above it, and then one about 3/4 of the way back. So again, we'll use our 8mm socket on our ratchet to pull those out. Next, we'll need to install our 2 provided mounting tabs for our new screws. We have a double hold section here, which we're going to install the tab on the one more facing forward the vehicle. So we'll get our tab in place there, as well as this one towards the front of our fender. You want to make sure your openings line up with the holes for easier installation. Now we can grab our flare along with 2 of our provided Phillips head screws. We're going to get our mounting holes lined up. We're going to start with those 2 that we just added the tabs on for. Now you may need to apply some pressure to the flare itself to get these to line up. And we'll get that one started. And we're not going to fully tighten it down just yet, but we're going to grab our Phillips head screwdriver and run that in a little bit so it'll hold. And that'll hold our flare generally in place so we can get the rest of our screws in. Next, we're going to add our screw to that rear tab that we added. Now we'll get our second screw snug down, again with our Phillips head screwdriver. Now we'll get our 2 supplied Phillips head screws into the front of our flare. One thing I want to point out is depending on the bumper you have, ours has the all plastic one. You do have a cut line where you could trim this to match your fender. We're not going to do that for demonstration purposes. This also goes full length for the metal bumper. We'll grab our Phillips head screwdriver and our supplied Phillips head screws and get our 2 forward screws in. We can go ahead and fully tighten these down. Now these last couple are going to be hard to see. We're going to skip the middle mounting hole. That is unnecessary. It's just there's an extra hole. We're going to install our screw up here, our provided Phillips head screw. And for the very bottom mounting hole, we're going to use that factory 8mm screw that we took out earlier. So we'll get our Phillips head one in first. And we'll get our 8mm in the bottom. So once again, we'll grab our factory 8mm screw with our 8mm socket on our ratchet. Get this last one in place. Now we can get ready to install our rear flare, but as with the front, we have to remove a couple things, starting with this rear plastic trim piece. So you should have 2 8mm screws and a Phillips head screw along with a tab underneath. Now we don't have our Phillips head screw or one of our 8mm bolts due to many previous installs. They've been lost to time, but we're going to grab our 8mm socket on our ratchet and go ahead and pop this piece off. So we'll remove our upper 8mm screw. And again, you should remove your bottom one and your Phillips head screw in the back. You can just pop that right off. And we can also remove this 8mm screw. It'll be the 3rd one up in your wheel well. Now we've come to the front of our wheel well and we're going to remove this upper screw as well as our middle one. We're going to leave the lower one intact for now. Now we will need to add in one more of our supplied screw tabs. That's going to be in the center hole of our wheel well. We'll get that in position. Make sure that lines up with your opening. Now we can get our flare in place, and just like with the front, we're going to start with that middle tab on our supplied Phillips head screw. We'll get this lined up, apply pressure, get this screw started. Next, we'll get our 2 forward Phillips head screws in place, again with our Phillips head screwdriver. So we'll line these up, we'll get our bottom one started. And we'll get our next one in. And we'll fully tighten these 2 down. Now we'll get our rear screws in. We're going to start with our bottom one. You may have to push up on your flare to get this one to line up. Now we can get our rear screws in, and just like for the front, for this bottom one, we're going to use our factory 8mm screw. So we've got our 8mm socket on our ratchet. Get this one in place. Now you may have to push up on this flare a bit. Now we can get our next 2 Phillips head screws in. Get with our Phillips head screwdriver, we'll tighten these down. Now we can come back to this top screw and fully tighten that down, again with our Phillips head screwdriver. And once you have this side all done, you can repeat this process for the front and rear of the other side. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our Red Rock OEM style fender flares for your 09 to 18 Ram 1500, excluding the Rebel. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.